It's in the name.
This is your Friday Refresh brought to you by Collision's Auto Repair Services in Killen, Alabama. You can contact them at 256-272-2007. It was November of 1939, and the country of Finland was staring down the barrel of a war machine of unimaginable power. Only 3 months before, the German forces, led by Adolf Hitler, had invaded Poland, triggering a declaration of war. But now the people of Finland were facing their own war with the Soviet army led by Joseph Stalin. They had rejected a proposal from the Soviet Union to move some of their shared border, give up some of their land, tear down their fortifications, and lease a peninsula to build a military base. As the Soviets prepared to fight or to strike, no one believed that the skirmish would last more than 2 weeks. The Soviets had 3 times more soldiers, 5 times more artillery, 30 times more aircraft, and 100 times more tanks. On paper, this would be a rout and little more than a blip on the radar of world history. Yet 2 months later, Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, would say, "Finland alone, in danger of death, superb, sublime Finland, shows what free men can do." The fight the Finnish people put up resulted in not a 2-week war, but a 2.5-month war. What Finland lacked in military might, it made up in sisu. What is that, you say? I really wish I could fully define what that is, but there's no exact English equals. The closest we get might be the combination of several words that we might often use when it makes up a special personality of people. Despite all the odds, they can overcome adversity. Words like grit, guts, determination, or endurance. Finland prides itself on the concept of sisu. It would explain how they endure the harsh conditions of their country to begin with, and how they managed to halt a war machine much larger and much more prepared than them through guerrilla-type warfare. There are stories told of the stealth in snowy conditions using white uniforms, snow skis, where the enemies didn't even realize that they were under attack until there was blood landing on the powdery snow at their feet. They knew to eat good warm meals to fight off the punishment of the Arctic temperatures, leaving them in better shape than their enemies. The understanding of the land and how to use it to their advantage, the sheer determination it took, all to stand and fight when people with less, well, sisu, would have turned and ran. Many studies have been done on the idea of grit, and one great book I would recommend, in fact, the place I first saw the idea of sisu, is the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. She has a lot to say about how the want and the desire to do something that gives individual purpose, but also something that leaves the sense of contributing to the good of others, will often drive us to be determined and even persevere through trials. One might identify David in the Bible as gritty because he went down into the valley of Elah to fight a guy twice his size. He may have been, but his real grittiness is seen in the way that he endured at the hand of Saul over time. It's not the one-time conquering, but the ability to drive and keep moving forward. Maybe a more impressive example might be Joseph, who endured trial after trial after trial with no immediate praise or reward, only to stand before his brothers at the end of his life and say, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." He found the purpose in his suffering, even if it took years of faithfulness to a God who rewards, albeit not always on the same timetable as we would desire. Sisu is something the Finnish people are fiercely proud of, the mindset that runs deep in their culture, their history, their persona. It was the driving force behind holding off the Soviets for 2.5 months when it should have been simply days. And while they ultimately gave up some of that land that they were attempting to preserve, they retained their independence and have taken pride in this sisu, what sisu represented in that battle. But the mindset behind sisu can be found all over the world, not just in the Finns. You can find it in the Japanese proverb that says, "Fall down 7 times, get up 8." You can find it in the motivational speech, even if by a fictional character of Rocky Balboa. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. The mindset is found in real world situations as well. You can find it in a single mother who works two or maybe even three jobs to make ends meet. You can find it in the high school athlete that wakes up at 5 a.m. to do the work no one else will do so that he can achieve his personal goals. You can find it in the soldier thousands of miles from home fighting for his homeland, his family, and his freedom. You can find it in the minister that labors with the same small church for 40 years because he cares deeply for their souls and their families. You can find it in the people who identify their personal goals and who find something that brings them a sense of purpose. Duckworth says in her book, enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. So today, don't give up. Keep moving forward. Channel your inner Sisu. Display your grit. Interestingly enough, you could sum it all up with one word that just so happens to sound exactly like the people who display Sisu the best: Finnish. And that is your Friday Refresh.